After the disfiguration, my husband and I filed for divorce. He said he was disgusted when he saw me, and he didn't even look in the mirror and how he deserved him. I touched the scar on my face and smiled bitterly. Is it really dirty? But I obviously disfigured myself to save him. 1. Why does she always cover her face? Isn't it hot? There is no way to know that it is rumored that she used to be a leader in the art department of a university, but now she is a back kitchen assistant with us. Isn't there news that the orchestra turned her away? In this small and sultry kitchen, I wore the largest mask, buried my head in hard work, and washed the dishes. The poor quality disinfectant made my hands red and swollen. The small discussion came to my ears from time to time, but I just mechanically repeated the movements in my hand and ignored the cynicism of the people around me. Just a month ago, Xie Yugong and we had just exchanged wedding rings, but our new house had a fire due to the aging of the circuit. He almost died. I tried my best to save him. I saved him. But the price is that my face was severely burned and my voice became hoarse and harsh. Unfortunately, there was one after another. My father borrowed a huge debt for his mother's surgery. Now the debt is urgent and he is asked to repay it as soon as possible. My father is not rich, but he has raised me for many years, and he always tries his best to give me the best life. Therefore, I am determined to help my father pay off the debt. However, I can't afford the expensive cost of plastic surgery, and lost my job in the orchestra. Even Xiaoyu left me. On the day we got married, he hugged me with tears in his eyes and said that marrying me was the greatest luck in his life. But after my face was ruined, he expelled me from the house and rudely kept me away. He claimed that he felt sick as soon as he saw my face. Jiang Sui, I've never seen a disgusting woman like you. Let's get a divorce. He said this to me. My back was almost crushed, and the dishes in front of me were still endless. I can foresee my future. Trapped in this world, there is no day to get out. Just then, the foreman in professional clothes walked into the back kitchen and swayed around. She thinks it's messy here and rarely comes here. Several women chatting next to them quickly shut up and concentrated on the work at hand. You Jiang Sui, come out. She raised her chin at me. I said yes in a low voice and left with her. As soon as she came out of the back kitchen, she grabbed my wrist with a disgusted expression. Jiang Sui, the person in box 302 wants to see you. You didn't offend anyone, did you? My mind was blank like being struck by lightning. When the foreman saw that I didn't say anything, he used a little more force on his hand to scratch me painfully. The guest, their surname is Xia. You go and have a good talk. The feeling of shortness of breath completely submerged me like a flood. I only know one person's surname Xia. That's Xiaoyu, who is about to divorce me. 2. The box was filled with pungent smoke. Xiaoyu sat around a table with a group of tattooed men, looking indifferently at the wine glass in front of him. After the foreman introduced me, they rudely kicked me out. They seemed to have provocative intentions. I stood at the door feeling uneasy. Several men looked at my face openly and occasionally sneered. Xiaoyu didn't even want to look at me. He once said that when he saw my disfigured appearance, he couldn't even eat and didn't want to see me again in the future. Brother Xia, is this your ex-wife? Ha ha ha. Take off your mask and let us see what a woman who can scare Brother Xia looks like. Their sharp laughter gave me a splitting headache, and I looked helplessly at Xiaoyu. At least don't embarrass me so much. After all, we used to love each other deeply. He took a sip of wine and spit out 2 words lightly. Picked. These 2 words are very light, but they make my heart tingle. My mask was rudely taken off by a man who smelled of smoke. They screamed curiously and interested, rubbing my self-esteem on the ground. I raised my head and held back my tears. Didn't you say that this girl used to play the violin? Let's listen to a song for us. Yes, it just so happens that Brother Xia is going to marry Sister Zhou. Let's sing the wedding march? Hearing the name Sister Zhou, I suddenly looked up. Once my father and I rescued Xiaoyu from Zhou Min. Xiaoyu is an orphan. He set up a stall in the suburban vegetable market to kill fish to earn money. My father's vegetable stall is next to his stall. We didn't have any intersection, until one day we saw the brother and sister who always charged protection fees in the vegetable market kicking Xiaoyu to the ground. He was dirty all over and his knees were blue and purple, but he still refused to bow his head. I was so young that I went to fight with Zhou Min who kicked him. Of course, things later, I apologized to my father and paid the protection fee for the 2 stalls, and Zhou Lin and Zhou Min spared him. In recent years, Zhou Lin and Zhou Min have become well-known entrepreneurs, and Xiaoyu and I are still working hard to earn money. I really didn't expect that Xiaoyu would marry Zhou Min. According to those men, this is the result of Xiaoyu taking the initiative to pursue Zhou Min. What are you stupid about? Brother Xia brought the violin. When my eyes touched the violin, I suddenly opened my eyes wide. That's the gift my mother bought for me with all her savings before she passed away. On the hospital bed, she took my hand and was so thin that she tried to squeeze out a smile. Sui Sui has always been my mother's good child. I have used this piano for more than 10 years. What about now? But But I want to use this piano to play for people. I closed my eyes and stubbornly took a step back to suppress the choking in my throat. Don't pull. A man snorted coldly, pulled my hair and put his mobile phone in front of me, asking me to take a closer look. The number that is about to be dialed above is my father's phone number. You think about it. If we are happy today, we won't trouble your father. I rarely sing the wedding march. The last time I pulled it was before Xiaoyu and I received the certificate. They took videos and photos wantonly, and the flash stabbed my eyes. They said they wanted to listen to this song to Sister Zhou, saying that I was a shameless ex-wife. The only thing I can do without money and no ability to resist is not to let them trouble my father. At the end of the song I held the violin and said, "Is it okay? Get out of here." Xiaoyu threw out a word. He is now following Zhou Lin and Zhou Min, and he will only be prosperous and rich in the future. I lowered my eyes and was ready to leave. Suddenly the door of the box was pushed open with a squeak. It's Zhou Min. Zhou Min in a red skirt is particularly beautiful. She is covered with big-name goods all over her body, and I am still wearing dirty plastic gloves. She didn't look at me at all but walked over and talked to Xiaoyu in a soft voice. I paused and was ready to leave. Did I let you go? Zhou Min's voice is gloomy and cold. Don't be angry. I'm heartbroken. Xiaoyu hugged her and said in a friendly tone, "The smell of smoke here is too heavy. Let's go back and talk, huh?" Zhou Min obviously eats this set, but she still doesn't want to let me go. In the past, she was domineering in the vegetable market for several years and made money for several years. Except for me who had a fight with her, no one dared to make her angry. So she has a good impression of me, and she doesn't mind falling into the well. How about this? She stretched out her hand and pointed to my violin. Isn't this a gift from your dead mother? If you let me out my anger, I'll let you go. 3. When I woke up in the hospital, I found myself with a high fever. Last night's memory was like a broken fragment. I held my violin tightly, and Zhou Min left several blood marks on my face. I couldn't protect it after all. The two of them pulled me away together. Zhou Min threw my violin to the ground again and again, and her sharp high heels crushed the violin I regarded as a treasure. My heart was also broken into countless pieces that night. Xiaoyu just watched all this indifferently. I think I should have fainted in the end because of overexcitement. What's the loss? She looks bad enough now. Can the tens of thousands of yuan make her beautiful and touching? Zhou Min's voice was particularly obvious in the hospital corridor. It seemed that a nurse told her not to make noise until the patient rested, and she did not lower her volume. Xiaoyu seemed to have said something to her. Zhou Min was finally shaken. Go in by yourself. I want to die when I look at that face, and I don't know how she wants to live. I lowered my eyes and looked at the miserable white sheets. The smell of disinfectant penetrated into the tip of the nose, which was not good. Xiaoyu called Zhou Min baby a few times. His voice is low and beautiful. In the past, I also pestered him to call me baby, but he always felt numb and only called my nickname, Sway Sway. Maybe it's not that I feel numb, but I'm just too lazy to call me that. In the end, only Xiaoyu entered the ward. He held a divorce agreement and a bank card with a cold face, and didn't even bother to get close to me. He just talked to me a few meters away. There is 100,000 yuan in the bank card, which is the compensation given to you by the Zhou family. Don't call the police in the future, and don't come to me. I was surprised. Good. Give me the pen and I'll sign it. It's also sad to say that we have just been married for more than a month, and I have to sign this agreement. I laughed at myself. Fortunately, I got 100,000 yuan. My family just needs a lot of money to fill the bottomless hole on my father's side. Is the divorce because of Zhou Min? I still asked this question before he left. After all, I have been with him since I was 18 years old, and I have been in love for 7 years, and I finally saved enough money to buy a house. She is more beautiful than you. I chased her for a month and got her. It's my blessing. His tone was light. If I want to blame, I blame you for your bad fate. I didn't say anything, just nodded. I won't contact you in the future. Just then I noticed the watch on his arm. He doesn't like to wear watches and he is still wearing a t-shirt. This seemingly valuable watch is particularly inconsistent with his clothes, as if it were put together. As soon as he pushed the door open, I saw the corner of the red clothes around the ward. Zhou Min was coquettish and wanted to buy snacks to eat. Xiaoyu obeyed her. The two seemed to be hugged together. Listening to the sweet and sticky sound outside, I was sick and calm. In this case, I actually felt sleepy and fell asleep like this. I had a dream. I dreamed that when I first fell in love with Xiaoyu, he always ran to my house, helped me wash the dishes, wiped the floor and changed the light bulbs, and held large bags of milk and nut nutrients in his hand. Even my father, who was always with a straight face, squeezed his lips and smiled, secretly telling me that Xiaoyu was a good young man worth entrusting. Why didn't I see that he was such a person at that time? After I was disfigured, he immediately defected to the Zhou family. My father owes money and is not in good health. I dare not tell him about this matter. I just said that I have something to do at home recently, and my face is a little burned, but it will get better soon. My relationship with Xiaoyu is also much better. I'm afraid my father can't stand it. When I woke up again, there was no sound of conversation outside, only the bank card on the cabinet next to me. There are 3 or 4 missed calls on my mobile phone, all of which are made by my father. I muted my mobile phone at work last night. No wonder I didn't hear it just now. I called back in a hurry. Thinking of the actions of the Zhou brothers and sisters during this period, I secretly feel bad. They won't trouble my father, will they? 4. Dad. I endured the messy heartbeat and tried to calm down my voice. Sui sui. There were no ups and downs in his mood, and his tone was still warm. I made dumplings. Will you come back for dinner tonight? It's your favorite pork stuffing. I haven't been home for more than a month. I have no face and no guts. I didn't manage my marriage well and didn't keep the violin my mother gave me. I'm ashamed of my father. Well, Dad, I hesitated. I still have. At night. I suddenly couldn't speak anymore and my throat choked. My father suddenly laughed. He said word by word. The pork I bought in line for a long time is chopped. You must love it very much. I have no reason to refuse anymore. Dad, wait for me. I miss home. After a simple cleaning and being discharged from the hospital, I put on a mask and bought 2 pure milk to see my father. Our home is near the vegetable market, which is a little shabby exclusive courtyard. When I arrived, my father was making dumplings, and there were still a pile of gifts in the kitchen. When I saw those gift bags, my heart almost missed a beat. It's all bought by Xiaoyu. He should have been here. Dad, is Xiaoyu here? I tried my best to hide the trembling in my voice, pretended to put down the milk quickly, and helped him serve the dumplings. I came yesterday. My father rubbed his ears and smiled embarrassedly. My hearing is starting to get worse. Xiao Xia said you were busy, and he came to see me for you. I was relieved. This may be Xiaoyu's only trace of conscience. My father is in poor health and can't stand the toss. Daughter, eat dumplings. In the dim yellow light, my father gave me a full bowl of dumplings. He only served half a bowl for himself under the pretext that he didn't like to eat because he had a bad stomach. There is nothing wrong with his stomach. He just wants to give me the best. When I took off the mask, I felt anxious that my father would be scared by my face. He didn't. He just looked at it for a long time with the light. Daughter, does it hurt? I haven't cried for more than a month, but now I let my tears break the embankment and fall into the bowl. He doesn't care whether I'm ugly or not. He only cares whether I was in pain at that time. My father also had tears in his eyes. He just held back and continued to call me to eat dumplings. You must have quarreled with Xiao Xia. After dinner, he rubbed my head. It's okay. Dad knows that you lost your job. If you miss home, you can go home and live for a while. Dad is in good health. At worst, Dad will support you. Aunt Wang of your neighborhood committee introduced you to a job. It's easy, but you don't have much money. Do you want to go? He didn't know about my divorce. He just thought that I had a conflict with Xiaoyu after I was disfigured and lost my job. I nodded. Aunt Wang used to sell vegetables here. Later, she went to the neighborhood committee. She has always regarded me as her granddaughter. After a few days, I went to the neighborhood committee to do a simple registration report. The money Xiaoyu gave me was just enough to pay back part of the money, and my life with my father was finally easier. My father even bought me a new violin to encourage me to continue practicing. My face is still potted and wrinkled like a rag, but I'm used to such a face. Everything seems to be moving in a good direction. During this period, I didn't see Xiaoyu and the brother and sister of the Zhou family. I only heard that Xiaoyu also opened a company with the help of Zhou Min. He is doing well and has received a marriage certificate. Last time, someone saw Zhou Min in the mother and baby supply store, which should be during the preparation for pregnancy. I think our life will have nothing to do with it in the future. But unexpectedly, Zhou Min didn't let me go. The night before the Mid-Autumn Festival, she drank, blocked me in the alley near my house with a group of people, and threw my mobile phone out. The mobile phone flew far away. I stared at the broken screen of the mobile phone and couldn't say a word. They were holding a stick in their hands, and their faces were full of drunkenness and a Greer's smile, as if they were enjoying the funniest farce. Zhou Min took a puff of cigarette lazily, slowly raised the iron rod in her hand, and pointed at me. Isn't it a violinist? Break her wrist for me, and I think she will pull a fart violin in the future. 5. The lights in the alley are broken, and there is no monitoring. Zhou Min didn't plan to do it herself. She said she didn't want to touch me. You guys go. Anyway, my brother is here. I'll give you a lot of money. She looked at me leisurely, as if she was sure that I couldn't escape. As soon as those men heard that they had money to take, their brains were paralyzed by alcohol and couldn't care about anything. They just came to me. I pretended to be afraid and curled to the corner. 1 step, 2 steps. They will come soon. Suddenly I squatted down, picked up the nearest brick, and smashed it on the head of the leader. He howled, covered his forehead, and shouted quite tragically. The dazzling redness made me a little dizzy. The remaining few people didn't dare to approach in an instant. They called me a crazy woman for fear that I would do something else. Zhou threw away the cigarette butt and kicked away the man I smashed. Scum! I'll do it myself. I punched and kicked her like crazy, and Zhou eyes showed a little timidity. Feel funny. She was not afraid when she asked for the protection fee. She was never afraid when she wrestled with me in the box. At this time she was obviously crowded, but she was scared. However, she was not afraid for long, and waved her hands to call the two men standing behind her. You guys, pull her arm and push her to the ground. I stubbornly refused to bow my head. Zhou sneered. She was completely angry. Many years ago, she kicked Xiaoyu in the knee at the vegetable market and made him kneel down. Now she gave me a kick. It hurt so much. It hurt so much. It hurt so much. When I was pressed and knelt on the ground, I was about to suffocate. Did Xiaoyu hurt so much at the beginning? Then why does he love Zhou? I don't understand. The next second, Zhou raised her foot. She was wearing a pair of thin-heeled high heels of at least 10 centimeters, just like she was in the box that day. It is obvious that Zhou hates me. Exclamation point. My face turned pale and the cry almost overflowed. She stepped on my wrist. A little. 2 times. 3 times. She stepped on me tirelessly and trampled on me so easily. Bitch. Go to hell. Bitch. She repeated these words and her eyes were red. The pair of high heels broke the violin my mother gave me, and now they are stepping on my wrist again. All my dreams were destroyed by Zhou. Before my consciousness was blurred, I seemed to see Xiaoyu's face. His face was extremely pale, and he looked like a servant. 6. Have a good rest. The nurses all told me. After the disfiguration, my husband and I filed for divorce, and he said that my current ghost is not worthy of him. 39,103. Okay. I responded quietly, but I know that I won't get better, because I won't touch the violin again. My wrists are wrapped in layers of gauze. Without moving, I can feel the piercing pain, as if it is going to disintegrate my whole body. People were calm before the collapse, and I was no exception. The nurse told me that the person who sent me to the hospital yesterday was a man. He looked like he had an emergency. He left after sending me and gave me a bank card. I didn't react much. Isn't this his usual trick after marrying Zhou? Use money to level everything. Of course, Xiaoyu has something urgent to do. He was in a hurry to appease his wife Zhou. My mobile phone is broken. I borrowed the nurse's mobile phone and made a phone call. Report my father's safety. My life has been completely ruined. Everyone who saw me felt that I was disgusting. My precious violin was gone, and my wrist was seriously injured. I don't know when I will get better again. If I don't have a family now, I won't hesitate to call the police. But I can't do it. Zhou and Zhou are both psychopaths. They are still running a company. I don't know how many random means they have to deal with me. I don't care about death and their revenge, but I can't accept that my father is involved in me. No one came to see her. It seems that there are no relatives or friends. I remember she came to the hospital to consult about plastic surgery. I don't know why my hand was broken, and my face was already ruined. This time. It's really pitiful. Several nurses gathered together to gossip. When they saw that I was about to be discharged from the hospital, they stopped talking knowingly, but their eyes were still curious and curious. I took the elevator downstairs with almost despair. When I was on the first floor, I saw the brother and sister of the Zhou family and Xiaoyu. Zhou was so fat that he kept pointing at Xiaoyu and cursing something. Zhou wiped her tears on the side, as if she had been greatly wronged. Didn't I give you the shares? I asked you to take care of my sister, not to make you angry with my sister. Let me tell you again tonight. My sister said she had a stomachache. I specially asked for leave to accompany her to see a doctor. You can follow me. Zhou was so impatient that his short fingers almost poked Xiaoyu's face. He just bowed his head and accepted everything. At this moment, Xiaoyu's afterglow aimed at me. I was separated from him by a corridor, but it seemed to be separated by a Ravian. He took a deep look at me and unconsciously fiddled with his watch. I don't understand too many meanings in that glance. But I know that Xiaoyu seems to be very sad. That look was too heavy. It's only a second, but it seems that a century has passed. I looked away faintly and was ready to leave the hospital. I don't even hate Xiaoyu. I just hate it. I hate him, and I also hate myself who used to like him. Zhou suddenly raised his legs and came to me. They should go to the corresponding department to see a doctor. Suddenly, Xiaoyu squatted down in a pious tone. Baby, the shoelaces are open. This was said to Zhou. The eyes of the brother and sister fell on him. Zhou's expression instantly turned happy. I left without hesitation and didn't even look back. Fortunately, Zhou's shoelaces were untied. Otherwise, he would have made a fuss when he met them face to face. I'm going to take my father out of here. We still have a house in our hometown. The rural primary school there is short of teachers all year round. I plan to apply for a job and stay away from this place of right and wrong. But there are other things to do now. I went to the mobile phone to buy the cheapest mobile phone, went to the neighborhood committee to apply for resignation, and booked a long-distance bus ticket by the way. Tomorrow I will take my father away. It's already evening after finishing these things. The weather changes when it says and the rainstorm comes when it comes. In order to save money, I didn't take a taxi, but bought a poor quality umbrella to go home. When I arrived at the door of the house, it was already past 9 o'clock in the evening. In the distance I saw a figure. Siayu. He didn't hold an umbrella and was dressed in white casual clothes. He stood at the door of the house with a box of things. I don't know how long he has been standing. 7. In the past, I always pestered Siayu to wear casual clothes and most of his wardrobe was also casual clothes. But Jomin bought Siayu countless big-name suits. She said that she didn't like to see Siayu's poor appearance when she married me. My heartbeat suddenly skipped, as if I was afraid of something coming. Siayu didn't wait for me to get close so he handed me the box like a treasure. It's a 6-inch old-fashioned cream cake. That shop is at least 6 streets away from here, but it has always been my favorite. I glanced coldly at the cake and remembered that today was my birthday. I spent my birthday happily in the past few years. What about this year? My wrist is completely absolushed. Is this the gift given to me by fate? Siayu saw the thick gauze on my wrist, and the light in his eyes gradually disappeared. He took a step back and said, "I'm sorry," in a hoarse voice. My emotions, which I had endured for many days, finally broke out completely. What on earth does Siayu think I am? What on earth does it mean to be sorry now? I took a deep breath and smiled. "Give me the cake." The light in his eyes was rekindled, and he looked at me eagerly. Siayu is an orphan and has no concept of birthday at all. When he saw that my birthday was on this day, he followed me. We shared a cake and shared our birthday wishes. His wish will always be peaceful every year. Every time I make a wish, he secretly smears the cream on the tip of my nose. He said that he had 2 lucky things in his life. One was saved from Jomin, and the other was that I agreed to his marriage proposal. He is a liar. Siayu handed the cake into my hand little by little, and I was impatient and took it directly. The next second I dropped the cake on Siayu's face. The white cream fell down his face, and Siayu was embarrassed at this moment. But I just smiled happily. The rainstorm fell on my face. At this time I was like a chicken in the soup, but I had a pleasure that I had never felt before. The pleasure of revenge. Siayu wiped off the cream on his face little by little. "Are you satisfied?" "Sui sui." "Satisfied? How can you be satisfied?" I said a word and went into the yard. "Go to hell, I'm satisfied. Go to hell. Go and eat all the suffering I've suffered." He who is hanging out with the brother and sister of the Zhou family only makes me feel endlessly disgusted. Death is not enough to regret. It rained all night in the rain that night. I didn't sleep all night either. My heart seemed to be kneaded repeatedly by one hand, and even I couldn't understand my emotions. I will always remember that I closed his eyes in front of the door, deep with powerlessness and frustration, and even some gentleness and soreness that seem absurd to me. It seems that this is the last time we see each other. The car starts at 10 a.m. After cleaning up briefly, I took my father to the bus station. He seemed to want to ask me why I suddenly had to take him back to my hometown and why Siayu and I hadn't appeared together for a long time, but he didn't ask anything in the end. I decided to find a time to confess our divorce. As for the rest, my father doesn't need to know. Before leaving, I saw the bank card left to me by Siayu in the hospital. Hesitating again and again, I still didn't take it away. I was about to take the long-distance bus to say goodbye, but I received a call from the Public Security Bureau. Hello. I reflected on whether I had done anything recently. Is it Miss Zhang Sui? Please come to the Municipal Public Security Bureau to claim Mr. Siayu's body. He left you a pension and a letter. I was shocked by the news. Whose remains? Mr. Siayu. 8. I didn't believe it before I came to the Public Security Bureau. I don't believe it. Go to hell, I'm satisfied. I remembered what I said last night. He won't die. He will definitely not. He kicked me out of the wedding room so that I could only rent a dilapidated rental house, and worked so hard to do things under Zhoulin and Zhoumin even to lose his dignity. What is this for? Isn't it for fame and fortune? Isn't it for money? Isn't it because I'm extremely ugly after the disfigurement, so ugly that it's disgusting for him to see me? I registered my identity and went with the policewoman to claim Siayu's body. It must be a mistake. How could it be him? The moment the white bra opened, I fell completely to the ground. The body was burned by the fire, and there were still bullet marks in the heart. A hole in a hollow hole. I looked at the body in a daze. It's almost subconscious. I'm sure it's Siayu. The policewoman turned her eyes away, as if she couldn't bear to see me. Mr. Siayu's will told me to give you the pension before his death. Before she was speechless, I interrupted her. What kind of pension? The policewoman paused. Don't you know? Oh yes, Mr. Xiaoyu didn't tell you. She took me to an empty office, even poured me a glass of hot water, and slowly told me what had happened in the past few months. I never thought that since the fire in the wedding room, he went to a completely different life from me. 9. The investigation result of the fire in the wedding room is that the line is aging. At that time, Xiaoyu was working in a restaurant. He wanted to save money to operate on me and treat my burns. I didn't think that he heard the conversation between Zhou Lin, who had drunk too much, and his younger brothers while he was on the plate. Although Jiang Sui's house is secondhand, it is not so aging, but money can make ghosts grind. Who told her and her father to mess with me before? This is a lesson. Hey, you don't know that the money Jiang Sui's family owes is usury. His father knelt down for me for a long time, saying that it was for people's treatment. I don't care what he is used for. Anyway, this is the loan I used to lend. Hey, it's enough for them for a lifetime. What's the matter? Next time I can kill Jiang Sui directly. I have never suddenly become rich. Zhou Lin and Zhou Min have never been clean people. They started their business by collecting protection fees, and let go of countless usury, forcing countless families to die. During this period they did countless dirty businesses, but they whitewashed themselves into entrepreneurs. The police have long suspected that the business they used to do was illegal, but the investigation has been fruitless. They have their own network and social circle, and they are hard bones that are difficult to start. Xiaoyu took the initiative to propose that he could enter the interior. But the police won't let him take risks as a hairy boy. It's too dangerous. But my wife is still lying in the hospital. It's really dangerous. I'm sorry, but my wife is still lying in the hospital. Many policemen persuaded Xiaoyu not to care about this matter, and just report any abnormal situation. Xiaoyu just repeated this sentence. He always remembered that I was still lying in the hospital bed. At that time my heart was like ashes every day. And I didn't even want to look in the mirror, almost breaking down. And Zhou Lin and Zhou Min are in full size and live a dashing and happy life. Xiaoyu didn't listen to the police's advice. He knows that I can almost be burned to death once and I can almost be burned to death for the second time. It is a truth that even a 3-year-old child understands that the wicked have evil retribution. Xiaoyu made up his mind to make his brother and sister pay the price. It's not easy for the single shadow to have a good relationship with them. He needs a breakthrough. And the disfigured me is the best breakthrough. Xiaoyu showed his disgust for me and desire for fame and fortune. In addition, he and the Zhou family had known each other before, so Zhou Lin became interested in him. He became the most loyal dog around Zhou Lin, and became Zhou Lin's confidant all the way. Zhou Min was infertile and happened to be dumped by her boyfriend. She cried every day and Xiaoyu's heart was moved. He has always been smart and can directly find out what kind of boyfriend Zhou Min wants. Obedient and well-behaved. Xiaoyu decided to divorce me and get me out of this matter cleanly. He completely abandoned himself and forced himself to become what the Zhou brothers and sisters liked. However, Zhou Lin usually does everything, otherwise he would not have been an entrepreneur. How could Zhou Lin completely believe Xiaoyu? He installed a pinhole camera in the wedding room to monitor Xiaoyu's every move every day. Even the bathroom has a camera. Xiaoyu lived in this oppressive environment for a whole month. Those 2 bank cards are the most money Xiaoyu can get. The Zhou brothers and sisters will not be stupid enough to give him the funds. He hated watches but he was forced to wear them. Because Zhou Lin and Zhou Min injected him with addictive drugs. Under the watch, there are dots in blue and purple pinholes. They are full of confidence in the medicine and believe that Xiaoyu will voluntarily stay with them like a dog without dignity. After all, they are all the same kind of people now. Fortunately, Xiaoyu cheated their trust and successfully contacted the police. Only in the last few steps he could get in touch with the core of the Zhou family. But just last night Xiaoyu was still anxious. The policewoman sighed. He carried out the plan in advance. 10. Why in advance? I don't want to think about it. Just yesterday my wrist could no longer get better. He drove to Zhou Lin's villa in a hurry. No one knew what had happened between them, but when the police arrived, there was already a blazing fire. Xiaoyu is on the verge of death. Before he died, he still held Zhou Lin's key in his hand and dragged Zhou Lin's leg to prevent him from leaving the villa. Zhou Min told him when he bragging that the bronze key was a safe key, and there was a record of their loan, which was enough for the Zhou family to have no worries about food and clothing in their lives. When Zhou Lin saw the police coming he was almost crazy. He took up his pistol converted from a shotgun and shot at Xiaoyu. When he died he turned his head to the clock on the wall. It's not 12 o'clock at midnight yet. No one knows why he looks at the clock. The police finally succeeded in arresting Zhou Lin, and also investigated the dirty things they started in that year. With his miscellaneous crimes the death penalty is inevitable. Zhou Lin was a cold-blooded man, but he separated his sister Zhou Min from these things and admitted all the crimes by himself. He insisted that Zhou Min was innocent. However, Zhou Min, who lost the shelter of Zhou Lin, has become a cutting board fish. The pension is 500,000 yuan in total. The policewoman said that Xiaoyu had asked before how much money he could get if he sacrificed. 500,000. The concept of 500,000 is so concrete for the first time. The doctor told him that the cost of plastic surgery was exactly 500,000 yuan. He is an orphan and has no support in his life. Before that, he made a will in advance hoping to give me all the pension. This is his last birthday present to me. I lay on the table and let myself cry. The policewoman handed me the letter. The date of this letter was a few days after the fire in the wedding room, when he met Zhou Lin. From that day on, he realized that he would die at any time. My tears fell on the letter paper. The content of the letter is full of words, but I only noticed the paragraph in the middle. If there is a next life, it's better not to save a rotten person like me in the vegetable market. Take your smooth path. I like you. I hope the summer wind will blow my thoughts to you, and I'm afraid that the summer wind will blow my thoughts to you. I think I'm dirty after all. If I die, please don't feel sorry for my death. This is the only thing I can do for you. At the beginning, I beat Zhou Min for him in the vegetable market, and I also made an eternal agreement with the Zhou family. There are only 4 words at the end of the letter. Be safe every year. It's safe every year. It's also safe every year. I couldn't help crying loudly in the office. I held the letter tightly in my hand, as if in this way I could go back to the summer we knew, the summer when we were 17 years old. I'm Jiang Sui. What's your name? Don't be afraid, I won't bully you. I'm Xiaoyu. The 17-year-old summer has long been gone. I can't wait for Xiaoyu for the rest of my life. No one put cream on the tip of my nose anymore, and then smiled and wished me peace. 11. Before returning to my hometown, I met Zhou Min. Fate is a cycle, and no one will be forgiven. She was doing my old job washing dishes in the restaurant. Her delicate hands were usually full of cocoons and wounds, and her ulcers were red, and she was scolded at her nose. When she saw me, she was no longer arrogant as before. She was just full of fear and knelt down and begged me not to bully her. Of course, I know what happened to her to become like this. But she deserves it. She told me that she blocked me at the beginning, yes, because Xiaoyu always pretends to care about me. She is just jealous. It's not her fault. She's just too angry. I sneered. Zhou Min, you are doing your own fault. Her life is over. In the long future, she will only repeat such a bad day, and she will no longer look arrogant and domineering at the beginning. 12. I didn't move the 500,000 yuan. My father's memory began to be confused. I patiently explained to him several times how Xiaoyu died, but he still couldn't remember. The town doctor said that it was a sign of Alzheimer's disease. One afternoon I played chess with him in the yard. Xiaoyu is a good boy. He blinked his eyes slowly, as if he was recalling something. At the beginning he gave me a bunch of gifts, saying that you quarreled and found you a job in the neighborhood committee, but he didn't let me mention it. I listened quietly. He asked me to tell you that Aunt Wang was looking for it. He was afraid that you would be angry. Yes, the violin I gave you later was also given to you by him. He was embarrassed to say. I took a step and continued to listen to my father's nagging. Behind the violin there are still those 4 words. Have a safe year. You can know who it came from at a glance. You seem to have quarreled. My father said to himself and touched a piece of chess. Are you reconciled? I nodded. We have made up. It has been reconciled long ago. I will be safe. Even without Xiaoyu. Even without Xiaoyu.